Welcome or welcome back. My name is Joanne and today I'm going to be talking about all the eyeshadow palettes that I am going to be possibly decluttering. So these aren't official declutters. They're all in a box, put away to see if I miss them. That's why I'm kind of nervous about doing this video, because I'm worried that if I see it, I'm gonna be like, oh, I want it. But the reason it's in the box is because when I was going through all of my palettes, these are the ones that I looked at them and thought, I'm not really gonna use that. I'm gonna reach for other things over it for one reason or another. And some of these might surprise you because some of them surprised me. So I guess without rambling too much, because this is probably gonna be a long video, let's just get into all the palettes that I'm possibly decluttering. I'm gonna try my best to go by brand. They're not gonna be in alphabetical order or anything. That requires too much work for me right now. And I need to get this filmed, but I'm gonna try to go by brand. So first is this little Kaja trio that I got from my friend. This is in Glowing Guava. So this is just like a mauve-y one. It has two mattes and a shimmer. It's very pretty. And I think it's so easy to just grab this, do a look, but I don't do that. Like even going through my palettes, I forgot about this. Yeah, that says a lot, doesn't it? So this is the first one that I am probably gonna declutter. Honestly, I'm probably gonna end up decluttering all of these. So if there's anything that you want, just DM me on Instagram and I will talk to you about all of that. And yeah, so I'm not really sad that this is going, to be honest. Next are most of my Organza singles. I have 3 of them in a palette just because they didn't fit in these palettes. Actually, no, I think I also have 3 other ones that I gave to my mom, but she doesn't really use them. If you've been on my channel for a little while, it's no secret that Organza doesn't have my favorite formula, and same goes with these shimmers. These singles, I should say. They're like a thick formula, or like the shimmers are very like smooth, and like they're not my favorites. I do have other single shadows in my collection, but like I prefer those. And these just aren't a favorite. I 100% regret buying the whole single collection when it first came out. I'm so sad about all this because I bought everything myself. But I am so overwhelmed with all of the eyeshadow that I own that I'm like, some things have got to go. And these are just the ones that had to go. I did forget to mention in the beginning of the video, I will have everything I'm wearing on my face linked down in the description box. I'm sorry if it looks a little interesting. I just did my blush try on video, which should be up before this video. So I will have that link too in case you're interested. It's me trying all 4 blushes that I got during the Sephora sale, just for you to see what they look like on, how I apply them, how they apply, the formula, everything. Next are 3 of my favorite brands. Yeah, I guess I'll start with this one. Yeah, I'm decluttering a Blend Bunny palette. It's Primal. This is no longer available. They discontinued it because it wasn't selling very well, but this is what it looks like. This contains their old shimmer formula. They've updated it and it's really nice now. And these are just tones that I don't reach for. I have most of their other palettes, which are also rainbowy palettes, and I would reach for those tones over... Why is hair getting stuck to my face? I have most of their other palettes, and those are just tones that I would reach for over this one. I do love this yellowy brown shade, and I do really like this green shade, but like, do I ever reach into those? No. I love Blend Bunny. I love their formula. This is one that pains me, but I know I'm not gonna reach for it over other things in my collection, so I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know it's not that big of a thing, like it's just makeup, but it's sad. You spent all the money on this and it's just not getting used. Looking back through this box, I'm like, wow, you were really ruthless with this. Next, I have 3 Bella Beauté bar palettes. Yes, I have 3 Bella Beauté bar palettes. One is the Poison Garden 2, and this is in my Panlos eyeshadows. So I will be randomizing a new shade to replace it in my update. But this is what that one looks like. It's such a pretty color story. It's such a me color story. But it just, I don't know, the shimmers aren't super special. And that's what really draws me into a palette. Like, the mattes can perform really well, but if the shimmers don't wow me, it's not a palette that I'm gonna love. And that's what I want my collection to be, palettes that I love, that I know I'm gonna love reaching for. This is one that I decluttered before but brought back into my collection because Lily of the Valley is so pretty. And again, these mattes are really nice. I've been using Bleeding Heart because that was what was in my Panlos eyeshadows, and it's a really nice formula. But this is just a palette that I'm like, I have other shades similar in my collection, so why would I keep this one around when it's not a favorite? I told you, some of these really pain me to get rid of, but I don't know, it has to be done. It just has to be. The next Bella Beauté bar is one of their, I guess all of these are kind of newer, but next is Recently De-Influenced. I feel like this one wasn't as popular for them. This is what it looks like. Again, it's super pretty, but like the color story, it's very like mid-tone to deep, and I would prefer there to be lighter shades for me to use to blend things out. And I understand, I still have a pretty big eyeshadow collection. I could reach into something else, but I'm a palette girly. Like, I like reaching into a palette for a full look. That's why I decided to do Panlos eyeshadows, so I can get into the habit of reaching for other things rather than just that palette. But I don't know, there's just something about this that doesn't really wow me. Just the color story doesn't wow me. The shimmers in here are so pretty. Like, they're shifty, they're sparkly, they're just so pretty, but the color story just doesn't speak to me. This was a palette where right after I bought it, I'm like I received it and I'm like, why did I even buy that? Like, I did that a lot last year. And that's what a lot of these palettes are. And it's sad to say, but this is one of them. And my last of the Bella Beauté bar palettes is The Sun and the Sea. I think I do have a first impressions of this palette up on my channel, but this is what it looks like. I mean, realistically, this is a very me palette. I mean, the neutrals, the blues, the pretty shade, the pretty shimmers, like it, you would think I would keep this palette, but I don't know, there's just something about it that doesn't really impress me all that much. Like, I think I mentioned in that video, if it's even up, but these like bluey purple shimmers are just so repetitive, and like even the brown shades are very repetitive. Sandcastle is so pretty, but like I don't need to keep a palette just for one shade. Like, are these pretty? Yes, but are they shades that I reach for? No. And I don't know what it is. I think it's just because this palette's so repetitive. Like, I wish there was even more of a difference between Waves and Deep Dive here. Like, I wish Deep Dive was just like a little darker. I think that's another thing. This palette doesn't go super dark. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something about this when I looked at it. I'm like, it's not a palette for me. Which, again, you would think it's a palette for me because it has neutrals and it has blues and it has sparkly shimmers. Hello, and it's warm tone neutrals. So you would think I would love it, but I don't. And this one makes me really sad that I don't love it. But because I don't love it, it's not gonna stay in my collection. The last of my favorite brands is Gourmand Girls. I knew I shouldn't have bought these. I knew it when I was buying them, and I still did it. So first, these are both collaborations with Doodles by the Bunny. So first is Spooked. This was, I think, their first collaboration. And again, you would think this is my kind of color story. I mean, warm, grungy, pretty shimmers. But like, I look at the shimmers and there's just not anything special to me. Like, are they pretty? Yes, they're very pretty. But there's just not anything about this palette that really speaks to me besides the matte shades, and I have these matte shades over and over again in my collection. The warm neutrals, the deepening shades, the grungy green, those are my favorite tones, and that means I have a lot of that in my collection. So sadly, Gourmand Girl spooked. You are leaving my collection. I'm so sorry. Oh my god. Again, there's so many palettes in here that I'm surprised with myself that I'm decluttering them. Because I never thought I would ever declutter them. But I was very ruthless. I could have been even more ruthless, but I wasn't. There's still a few in my collection that I think could get decluttered at some point. But for now, they're in my collection. But this was one that did not make the cut. Again, it's just the shimmers that don't speak to me. And that's what really draws me into a palette. The other Gourmand Girls palette is Haunted. This was just released last year, and honestly, these shimmers speak to me more than Spooked. I mean, Ghostly, Jinxed. Like, those are like my kind of shimmer shades. But like, I don't know. This color story just doesn't speak to me, and it's so surprising because this is my kind of a color story. Like, grungy tones. I think it's the mix between the grungy tones and the lighter shimmers that I'm like, huh, why are you like this? It's so pretty. I don't know, maybe this is one that I bring back into my collection. Again, these are gonna sit in the box for a few months. If I don't think about them, they're getting decluttered, and that's that. But this one, oh, I mean, look at Unearthly, like that lime green shimmer. Oh, I might put this to the side and just bring it back into my collection, because it's such a me color story. Like, honestly, this is very much a me color story. I mean, not that you can tell today, but I mean, I guess kind of. But like the grungy, warm shades. I'm gonna put this to the side and bring it back into my collection. Oops, I told you these are possible declutters, okay? It doesn't mean that they're going to be decluttered. Most of them probably will get decluttered, but some of them, like Haunted, I don't know, it's yeah, that's going back into my collection. Sorry, not sorry. You can yell at me in the comments if you want. It's my makeup that I spent money on. So next, I do have a few palettes from Melt Cosmetics. No, Gemini is not in here. Okay. That is still in my collection. I love that palette so much. Again, that color story reminds me of this color story. But this just has different shimmers. Anyways, I have the entire Bad Side Zodiac collection here. And can you tell I'm not impressed with this? Honestly, I don't know why I bought all of them. So I have Air. I mean, I did a whole palette collection video, so I guess I don't need to show these to you, but I'm going to. This is my favorite one out of all of them. I just love this color story. And I do like the matte formula in these, but the shimmer is just very lackluster. Very lackluster. Again, shimmers are a huge reason why I buy eyeshadow palettes. I mean, can you tell I like a sparkly shimmer? Yeah, and these are not it. When going through my collection, I was like, okay, I put this one to the side and was like, do I have anything similar to this? I indeed do. Glaminatrix Rich Romantic is similar to this. Let me actually bring that out and show you. So here's Rich Romantic. Oh, I almost dropped it. No, thank you. This is Rich Romantic. And this is the Melt one. Do you see? Like, they're so similar that I don't need both of them. And these shimmers are absolutely gorgeous. They're smooth, they're sparkly, they're shifty. They're just so nice. 100 times better than these ones. So that's why I decided to declutter this one. Next is water. And I'm assuming you can guess why I kept this. It's because it's blue. But honestly, how many blue eyeshadows do I have in my collection? Probably a lot. And do I prefer those to these? Yes. I also kept this because Manipulate is a really pretty inner corner shade, but like, I don't need it. Like, I just don't need it. I could use a highlighter if I run out, which I don't think I'm gonna run out of inner corner shades anytime soon, considering I'm currently trying to pan one in Cindy Gray's Tiny Marbles and it's taking forever. Tangent aside, although this is a color story I love, the formula is just not a favorite, and sadly this little one can go. Next is fire, and I am a fire sign. I am a Sagittarius. I know we don't get the best rep, but this is what it looks like. I mean, this is literally, you would think that I would love this palette. And again, I do really like the mattes, I guess. They're very fiery. I mean, fire, you know, what do you expect? I have so many warm neutral palettes. I have oranges, I have reds. I don't need this. I don't see myself reaching for this. Goodbye. The last one is Earth. This is a very me color story. The grunginess of it, I just don't reach for it. Like, this literally reminds me of the shades in Heather Austin, like these two and then these two. Obviously Heather Austin has better shimmers, just saying. I just have so many eyeshadow palettes that I don't see myself wanting to reach for this over others. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like, would I reach for this over what I have in my collection? Probably not. But sadly, that's just how it is. And some of them just have to go. And because they're just taking up space at this point. Next, I have Viseart. And these are some palettes that I might bring back into my collection. Because I do like their matte formula. But this is the Paris Edit. This is what that one looks like. It's very pinky neutral. But again, I really like their matte formula, but their shimmers are just very lackluster. Very lackluster. I mean, they would be nice for like a work look. Again, these might be ones that I bring back because I do like them. I was just very ruthless that night. Next, I have Mink Set. This is what that one looks like. It's just the warm neutral toned one. Again, I might just bring these ones back because I do really like the formula. I wouldn't mind panning them. I'm just gonna put them on the side. Okay. And then we have Cashmere. This is literally what I was afraid of with this video. I would get too nice with myself and it was like, I can bring it back in. It's okay. This is what that one looks like. I don't know. I always think I really like this one. And I do. It's like more of a cool toned one. These three might also make it their way back into my collection. I have two Huda Beauties. I have Empowered, which you would think I would love this because it's warm toned, but I just don't. All of Huda Beauty's brown matte shades pull pink. And then I'm not the biggest fan of yellow gold. And yeah, this is just a palette that I'm ready to let go of. I got these for half off. Steal of a deal last summer at Sephora. I just, like, the only shade in here that I really love is Bold Moves, and this reminds me of Fire Buds from Cindy Gray's Tiny Marbles. So I don't need this. And the other one is Naughty Nude. I I'm pretty sure this was the one that I said I would keep from the brand in my if I could only keep one palette from each brand video. Oops. I think I'm gonna bring this one back too. I mean, yes, the neutrals pull pink, but like the shimmers, I mean, the thing is the shimmers look like they're gonna be really pretty, but they're not. The only one that I really love is Tantric right here. I haven't really been missing, I have been thinking about Huda Beauty though. Honestly, I really like their matte formulas. It reminds me of a lot like the ABH formulas. I mentioned that before. They're very powdery, but they're very easy to blend out, very easy to use on the eyes. Packaging is a little cheap for the price. Just my opinion. I think this is another one I'm gonna bring back. Oh god. Okay, hopefully I don't bring back in too many palettes. I have 3 Natasha Denonas. So first I have this Natasha Denona Glam Face Palette. This is so reflective. I'm so sorry I forgot about that. This is what the palette looks like. It's very pretty. It's very neutral. It has like a cream blush and a highlighter. I don't like the cream blush. It's very stiff and yeah. The highlighter is really pretty. I always think this is a really nice palette to travel with. I don't know, I'd rather just take one of my other neutral palettes with me and just give this to someone else. Like, these shades are really pretty. Don't get me wrong, they are really pretty, but I just don't need it. I have so many neutrals. I have lots of pretty shimmers. I don't need this one. Next is the bronze palette. This one is rearranged, but all of these shades are from the original palette. This is what it looks like. It's a warm toned palette, and again, it's just, I like her matte formula. It's really nice, very easy to work with, pigmented, but the shimmers just don't wow me. And I'm sure it's because I'm spoiled with indie shimmers. I don't need it in my collection. But like, that's also how I feel about these ones. Like, also these are smaller palettes than this. Like, look at the difference. Because they both have removable pans. So I feel like this one's just more orangey. Maybe. I think this one has more variety in the matte shades. So this one's going bye-bye. But it really does pain me. Maybe it doesn't go bye-bye. This is becoming a really dangerous video for me to film. Like, look at that matte shade. I can't be bringing back all of these palettes. I mean, I can. Who cares? But I care because I was very overwhelmed with everything. Maybe I will bring back bronze over Mink set. I don't know. Why is this so hard? There's a reason I just threw these into a box. So I wouldn't be doing this. I think for now these are coming back into my collection. Next is Glam. This is what this one looks like. It's definitely a cool tone neutral palette. I know there are some warm tones in here, but my skin tone is so warm that this is definitely cool tone on me. And when I wore it, it's just not that flattering. So I think I just prefer like a neutral look over an actual cool tone look. Which is interesting because I just bought Cold Moon from Ensley Rain and that's a very cool tone. I don't know, like this, again, like this would be a nice like work palette. I think if I bring back the Natashas, I need to get rid of a couple from this stack. So I'll go over that later. I have 2 palettes from Sugar Drizzle and these are so pretty. I have Sugar Dreams, which this is what it looks like. Their formula is just very thick, and while they're very pretty, like look at that, that is so pretty. I have so many all shimmer palettes. I have so many pretty indie shimmers that are more sparkly than what this is that I'm gonna reach for those over this. And then I have the Man I Love Frogs palette. This is one of their most popular palettes and for good reason. It's very pretty, but again, I just have so many shimmers in my collection. But like, oh, like I look at Pond and I'm like, that's so pretty. I look at Leap and it's so pretty. Lily Pad is so pretty. Feeling Froggy is really pretty. This might get put to the side. Okay, anyways. This video is just becoming me bringing palettes back into my collection. Oops. I have another Blend Bunny palette. This one really does pain me because it's so expensive. It's the Trove Multichrome Quad. And this is what it looks like. It's just 4 black-based multichromes. And they're really pretty, very shifty, very smooth, sparkly. But first of all, I don't really reach for black-based multichromes all that often. And I have plenty in my collection to reach for. So sadly, this Blend Bunny one is gonna have to go. Yeah, someone else can find a nice use for this little quad. Next, I have 2 Pat McGraths. And if you've seen my palette collection video, you already know what they are. I have the Bronze Ecstasy, which was one of the 5 pans from her holiday collection. And like, are these shimmers pretty? Yes. Joanne, don't even. Like, they're so pretty. And like, I don't want to declutter just to declutter, but the reason I did this is because I'm so overwhelmed with all the eyeshadows I have, and these are just the ones that didn't really spark joy as much as my other ones. And then I have the big palette. This is in Jeweled Temptation. This is hard to open, but this is what it looks like. It's just a 9 pan with 2 blushes. I love the blush shades. They're so pretty. And the 9 pan is pretty too. I don't know, part of me still wants to kind of keep this. I mean, these shimmers feel dry. I just feel like it's not anything special. I don't need it. It's bulky. It is pretty packaging. I just don't need it in my collection. Next, I have What's Up Beauty Geodes. And this is a very pretty mauve-y type of palette. These shimmers are more of an iridescent type of shimmer, so they don't really have much of a base. They're very sparkly, they're very pretty, but I just have other palettes I prefer over this one. I have an Adept palette. It's MU Net. And I don't know if this is still available. This is what it looks like. I just have other Adept palettes that I prefer the formula of. For example, Heather Austin, Sumerian Sunset, the Arrow inspired. That I just don't need this. I love the shade Nephthys. It's so pretty, but again, I don't need it. Oh, so pretty. But again, I don't need it. I probably have other shades similar to that, and I do have Groovy Garden from Emsley Rain coming to me. I'm really excited for those palettes, and I feel like there are going to be shades similar to that one from that palette, so I don't need this one. And then I have Sigma Ambiance. This is just another warm tone neutral palette. Sigma has a really nice formula. Their mattes are very pigmented, but they're very blendable. They're buildable. You can build the shades on top of each other, but the shimmers don't wow me. Really, the only shimmers I like are Marigold right here and Firefly right here. Those are really the only 2 that really wow me. The other ones, I'm like, it's fine. It's a shimmer. And the packaging is very bulky. I understand the packaging is bulky because they put a brush in here, but I don't know. It's just not necessary for me, and this can go. Sigma isn't one of my favorite brands. I know a lot of people love their formulas, but I just don't. Next, this is one that I struggled with. It's the BH Cosmetics Lost in Los Angeles palette. This is what it looks like. It's really pretty. Again, it's just a pastel palette, but I just thought to myself, I have Pastel Garden from Bella Beauté Bar. I don't need this. I definitely don't need this. The shimmer shades are really pretty, like Rush Hour, The Hills, Rodeo Drive. They're very pretty, but they just don't compare to my indies. And I'm always going to reach for those over these, so this is going to go. And then I have ABH Subculture. I got this at TJ Maxx, so I'm pretty sure this is the updated formula of it. This looks like it would be my kind of palette, but I just don't reach for it. I don't know, this is almost like a companion palette to me instead of an all-in-one palette. And yes, this has pretty shades. I love the grunginess of it. It's just, I have other grungy palettes that I would reach for over this, like Gemini. What other grungy palettes do I have? Plenty, but I can't think of them right now. So this is gonna go, sadly. I think this is the only ABH palette I have left in my collection, but I just don't need it. I have other things I'd rather reach for over this one. My last two palettes. The next one is ColourPop Cabana Club. This is actually a gift from a friend because she got sent this palette instead of something else that she ordered. This is what it looks like. It's a really pretty color story. It's really pretty. I just don't see a use for it in my collection. And ColourPop isn't one of my favorite brands. Their formula's not my favorite. They're fine. They're more of an affordable brand, but they just don't wow me. And that's that. Lastly, this one really pained me. It's Shroud Cosmetics and Batty Bean Hollow Bean. It's Freaking Bats is one of my favorite palettes ever. This one, the color... Let me just say that these shades are rearranged. The palette does not look like this originally. These are all the shades that come in the palette. They're just rearranged. But this is just a palette that I don't see myself reaching for. Like the color story, yes, it's pretty, but I just don't see myself reaching for this one. Like even the shimmers, like I just feel meh about it, and it makes me really sad. Because again, I love my It's Freaking Bats palette. That's one of my favorite palettes ever. But this one, not so much. Any of these palettes. Like if they're one of your favorite palettes, I love that for you. I'm just very overwhelmed with my eyeshadow palettes, and these just gotta go. Okay, let's revisit this pile because it's become a pile of 8 palettes. Let me just take out the ones that I know I can just declutter. As much as I still want to have this palette in my collection, I think I am going to declutter this one. There's only really one shimmer that I really like in here, and that's not enough to keep a palette. Other ones, oh boy. Okay, let's again compare Bronze and Mink Set. So I don't think I need to keep both of them in my collection. So here's Bronze, here's Mink Set. And again, it's going to come down to the shimmer shades. I don't know, I like that you get more depth with an actual matte in Mink Set, but I prefer Bronze. But like, I like the matte shades more in Mink Set. If these matte shades were in here and these shimmers were in here, just a little combination of the two would be nice. But I think these are too big to fit into the Natasha Denona spaces. Yeah, I think they're a little more square. Let me just try that real quick. So no, these don't fit in here because I don't have a lot of neutral palettes in my collection. I do have the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes, which is full of matte warm tone shades. So I guess with that being said, I don't really need the Mink Set since this is all mattes. And I do really like this palette. Bronze, however, I think I'm gonna keep Bronze. The MILF palette. It's so pretty, but let me look through my collection. I have a lot of like tealy bluey shades, but I feel like this could still be fun to incorporate. I think I'm gonna bring this back in for now, just to see. And then Glam. I think Glam and Cashmere can be compared. They're a little different, but they're similar in tone-ish. So Glam, Cashmere. I don't know. Again, I think I prefer the shimmers in Glam. And I think I'm going to keep Glam over Cashmere. And then Paris Edit. This is just like a pinky neutral color story, right? So this is kind of like Makeup by Mario Etherealize. Makeup by Mario Master Mattes the Neutrals. Yeah, I don't think I need this one. Wow, that's actually kind of sad. Okay, and then Gourmand Girls Haunted. I'm gonna keep this one. I'm bringing back 4 palettes. It's fine. Again, this was already a possibility box full of palettes, so they weren't necessarily gonna get decluttered anyways. So I'm not really upset that I'm bringing back 4 palettes. I mean, it is what it is. If I end up decluttering them again, they gotta go that time. That's everything for this somewhat eyeshadow palette possible declutter video. bringing back 4 palettes into my collection video. That's what I was afraid of, but honestly, who cares? It's makeup. I spent my own money on it. I can do what I want with it. If you enjoyed, I would really appreciate it if you give it a big old thumbs up, and let me know if you're decluttering any palettes. I would be interested in hearing about that. But also, again, DM me on Instagram. I will have my Instagram link down in the description box if you want any of these palettes, and we can talk about it. With all that being said, I hope you have a great day, a great night, whatever time it is for you. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.